and welcome back to Taking Back Saturday, a Happy Buyers Club podcast where we break down the real estate market each and every Friday to help home buyers build confidence, follow a process, and hopefully buy really happy. Today, I'm joined by one of the good guys, fellow buyer's agent and director of the Buyer Squad, Jono Betros. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, before we kick things off, give our wonderful guests, all 9 of them, a little 30 seconds on life before you started the Buyer Squad.
Beforehand, I was in corporate for about, let's call it 12 to 13 years.
Yuck.
In media, marketing. And I suppose that was really good experience to bring into this business. So, I was in that field and then decided to jump over into a property investment firm, which at that point was good experience, but not the right business at the end of the day. So decided to jump out of that and then get into my own thing, just not working for somebody else anymore. So
nice.
Yeah, that was very short background, but corporate investment, and then kicked this off and got it going back in 2022. It was when we launched. So. It was good fun.
Nice. Well, who are you kidding? I believe you have 2 kids, so you definitely just work for them, right?
One kid now. For now. Just calm down, mate, all right?
I was like, oh my God, I was really starting to scare this boy. He's
Sweat
like,
me coming down.
What have you heard?
What? Really? Okay. One. He just turned 2, actually. So
Congratulations, my guy.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you describe the Brisbane property market right now?
Challenging. Tight, I suppose, is probably the main word. It's challenging for buyers. It's obviously still a seller's market. There's not enough stock around, but there's still deals to be done, I think, out in the market. So, I suppose it also highlights the importance of what we do as a buyer's agent. But, it's just a very tight market at the moment. So, thought coming into spring there'd probably be a little bit more stock, which maybe there is a slight increase. But, we've seen that over the last few years that it's just not a lot coming on, not like it was before, pre-COVID. It feels really tight, really difficult to get ahead. So we're having to fight day in, day out for buyers to do that. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like there's a little bit more off-market stuff coming through as well. And maybe the sales agents are probably seeing a little bit more importance on working with buyers agents potentially and actually getting some of the deals done without having to worry too much. Some of the sellers may not want to take things to market, so get an easy deal done at the right price, win-win for both sides. So I feel
it's different segments, right? There is, I feel like, plenty of opportunities there, certainly pre-market and off-market in entry-level houses, like starter homes. Like, it just feels like that's a very maybe investment offloading sort of segment. That's very tricky through the family market. A lot of that mid-1 stock is really quite difficult to sort of navigate because, families are unwilling to move out of their 4-bedroom home. It suits them now, like where to for them. But again, if you can find the right conditions to allow them the flexibility for that move, you can put deals together, but it's just finding that opportunity to begin with. I think that 2 to 3 and beyond, that market there are up for it. If the price is right and you can give them something that's really flexible for whatever they want to do ongoing as well, but also they don't have to navigate having people trod through their home 3 times a week ongoing. Hey, it's a win for everyone. What are buyers saying to you when they reach out at the moment?
Just that they're struggling, right?
Help.
Help. I need help. I think just there's no price transparency. They really struggle with that. So a lot of the discussions we have about, is this affordable? Like, they see a lot of properties, but then find out that that's actually not in their budget, or they're getting outbid, or things are going above what they thought it should be because the market continues to move. At least in Brisbane, it's definitely moving quickly. So, the whole process, though, a lot of our clients, majority of our clients, aren't coming through and saying, "Hey, I just want help with this portion of the process." It's like, we need help with the whole thing. Like, we need guidance through the whole thing. We just have no idea what's going on.
Sure. Well, I think that frustration around pricing particularly is something that affects everyone, regardless of whether you've bought and sold properties in the past or whether it's your first time or you haven't done it in 15 years, whatever. It's that time, it's exhausting. It's incredibly frustrating. So, like, if you don't know from day one what something's worth and you sort of get strung along for a 3 or 4 week campaign and then see it transact $200,000 over your max budget. What you're like, how does this feel like a nice experience? Like, what have I learnt along the way here? All I've learnt is that I wish I knew something on day one that I ended up finding out a month and a half later. Like,
100%.
And again, hopefully it means why there's a little bit of professional courtesy between buyers agents and selling agents, that we can sort of cut through that shit. But yeah, like, that's like the average punter definitely struggles with that in Brisbane.
They're really struggling through that whole process, and then you see some of these tactics sometimes, not the majority, but I think we were at a property the other day in Maruka that was significantly underpriced. Significantly, like,
well, everyone, that was the problem.
$400,000 underpriced.
But, people cry out for price guides or prices on properties, but then there's the other side of that coin where it's like, hey, they can put a price on there and just watch people go crazy, and it's not going to transact. It's not a case of scan the barcode and pay the money. Like, it's like, good luck. There's still a market you got to compete
good way to get hundreds of people, hundreds of groups through the open home. But yeah, sure.
Well, good luck to Mr. Disher on all those follow-up calls the next morning. That would have been fun. Are you working with mainly owner-occupiers at the moment, or mainly investors?
It's probably 50-50, and it has kind of been like that since we started the business as well. So yeah, obviously my background before the business was in investment as well. So yeah, it's kind of molded into starting kind of there and then moving into more owner-occupied as well. I get satisfaction out of both sides. With the investment side, we know it really well. It's very obviously numbers driven. You're looking at a lot of the research around where we should be purchasing, the right types of properties and the right strategy for each client, because every client is different and what they want to achieve. But then I get a lot of satisfaction out of working with the owner-occupied side as well. Like, I think you get a lot more of that emotional satisfaction out of working with those buyers. And so I actually probably prefer that, because you get a lot of more of the endorphins and whatnot out of it.
The highs and the lows.
And the lows, yeah.
In between. But like, I think buying well, like, is all about fundamentals, right? Regardless of whether it's an investment or an owner-occupied property, like, there is still a foundation of fundamentals there that you want to make sure that you're buying well for them. And it is still an asset, even if it is their primary place of residence. That's still an asset, and maybe their biggest asset ongoing. You want to make sure that it's going to do well for them ongoing.
Yeah, and we talk about that with clients up front too. So the owner-occupied, all of the investment-based principles, when you are going to buy, we analyse that anyway for them when we're looking. Obviously, they've got to love the house and they can see themselves living in there, and it's got to fit for their family. But we look at all of those investment principles as we're analysing the property, and can provide that insight for them as well. So, and you talk about location versus property type, and you've just got to get the right mix for them. But then owner-occupied is very different. Like, they've just got to love it. Sometimes you go, well, this doesn't actually work for this, and this, but then they get in there and go, no, we're buying this one. So,
have you ever had to talk anyone out of a property?
Yeah. Actually, recent client tried to, didn't work. There were some issues, but again, just make sure you give them full disclosure, and this is the advice. But we ended up purchasing it anyway. But he was, again, owner-occupied. He loved it. So you got to take their direction, right? You're not buying for yourself, you're buying for them. So you just give them all of the information, try and protect them as much as possible. And if they're going to make the decision at the end of the day, then that's their choice. But there's been plenty of circumstances where we go, this is the wrong property. There's flooding, or there's a major structural issue or something wrong with it, to go take the emotion out of it and just don't purchase it. Like, yes, you might love it, but then you're going to get in there and you could have hundreds of thousands of dollars of issues, or the next flood comes through and your house is gone. So we make sure, give all of the information, but at the end of the day, the client makes the decision, not me. So
definitely, I mean, and I love that you said protect, because that's a big word that we use around here. Is that we're here to support our clients, but also protect them as well. So all you can do is give them absolutely everything, all the information, a lot of stuff that they probably can't or necessarily don't want to go find themselves, and then be like, hey, we've got a decision to make. And there is a lot of emotion in that. And yes, vibe is a huge thing. They walk into the house and they're like, I can see myself living here. And it's like, okay, but can you see yourself living here with all of these additional challenges and objections that are sitting here in the background? And obviously you then work out a strategy as to how to use those potential objections to buy it for less.
Correct. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, exactly. I think vibes is the thing that you guys love, though. I see that's posted all over the socials.
I mean, we work for the most part, I think it's probably more a 80-20 split split of like owner occupiers to investors.
Yeah.
And vibe is huge.
Yeah.
Vibe is huge with owners, right? Like,
100%.
like we can do, like you said, all the data in the world. We can give them all of our opinion, our thoughts, all of the due diligence on those properties, pricing estimates, where we see the comparables, where would be good buying, where would be premium buying for that property. And then they walk in there and it's like, it's not my vibe.
Not the vibe,
like, yeah, sweet. Okay, on to the next. Off we go.
And you step through that, right? I feel like as you go through the process with clients, you understand their vibe, because it's hard to tell up front. Like, you can ask as many questions as possible, but until you get into the process and you go through some of these properties and then you realize what their vibe is, you don't really know. So you get in there. And then I think part of our role is also sometimes marriage counselling. Like, I feel like that's our...
That is 100% true. We are your real estate therapist.
Yeah, correct. I mean, it is.
General therapist sometimes.
Yeah, one of the clients said, I think it was like last week, that because they're going, one of them loves it and the other sees some issues, and you go through and we stand at the front of the house and they're like, okay, we're going to have to sit down and have a chat together. I'm like, yep. It's fine. That's part of the role. That's what we do.
Like, I don't get a vote in this, guys. Like, it is you guys that will decide whether this is the one for you or not.
Like, should we buy it? I'm not going to tell you what to buy.
Well, what does your process look like when you're starting with a new client? Like, is there a lot of stuff that's done pre-launch to sort of navigate those early weeks, or is it just a case of let's get out there, let's see a bunch of stuff, and we'll work out vibes in between?
So I mean, up front, we actually do, well, I feel like we do it a little bit different, but we set out a strategy document. So the strategy document is about 20 to 25 pages long, that we, like, it's our IP that we've developed, but we sit down and do a lot of in-depth questioning with clients. Again, it's very different for investment than it is with owner-occupied, but and it's bespoke to the client. So, all of the information that we gather up front, we then feed into this document, and it's not rocket science, but it's a guide that then clarifies majority of things for clients. So I feel like when clients come to us, they're probably not 100% certain on everything. So we sit down and that document essentially just clarifies it all for them.
But that gets them thinking about things, like things they probably wouldn't have even thought about. Yeah. All of a sudden it's like, what do I prefer here? Or what am I actually looking for? Like, what is this? Like, what are we doing in 5 years' time? Or that sort of stuff. Yeah, I appreciate that.
So it narrows it all out and gives them, the, just the guide of how we're going to go and find the property, what that looks like. Again, it's the very numbers driven for investment versus owner-occupied's a bit more vibe driven. But that we do that up front to make sure we're delivering what I feel like is a better result for the client, rather than just going here, spray and pray, like here's all the properties to look at. We can actually really whittle that down a lot quicker. We're presenting relevant properties for them, and we are able to quickly discount other ones as well. So,
it's like here's your goals and your strategy. Yeah. Here's our process and how we do it, and this is how we're going to get to the end goal. All we got to do is just plug things in along the way.
Yeah, makes it quicker, easier. Again, it's all about communication, as we've probably talked about before, but so as long as you are communicating everything and each step of the way, they're getting educated as well. So we're not just doing it all for them, they're understanding the full process. And then, you just get to that result quicker usually and a lot easier for them.
I mean, if they're learning stuff along the way, they've probably done a crash course in being a buyer's agent at the end. Yeah. If they had the time and energy to do it, they've now got the skills and they've learned something along the way. Make it all possible.
Exactly.
What do you think is the biggest misconception that buyers have about using a buyer's agent?
Probably that's for the top end of town. It's probably the main one we come up against is like, why would we do it? We could do it ourselves. I don't know that buyers fully understand. Some do, but I don't know a lot of them understand the full value of a buyer's agent. So we take the time to probably sit down and again run through an upfront presentation for clients so that we can actually, before they sign on, that runs through the full process. It shows the full value each step of the way. It's not just about off markets. It's about finding the right property for their strategy, as well as, again, protecting them, negotiating, getting the right pricing, et cetera, et cetera. So all of those value pieces that we run through up front, so they can see why they would want to use us, because a lot of them come and they might have been recommended from somebody, but they don't fully understand it. I think there's still probably a little bit of education that needs to happen in the market about what we do and how we do it, because I think people probably just have that misconception of why they should be maybe paying for a professional to actually do it for them.
Like we pride ourselves, both yourself and I, we are the buyer's agents for the common man.
Well, that's true. I'm not the top end of town generally. We are probably that either first time buyer to mid end. So
and we work big hours, like, you know, with no holes barred here. Like, we work big hours, and that is probably a feeling that a lot of regular punters have out in the market too, where they're like, this is a lot of work. Yeah. Like, they've got their own jobs that they're working big hours for, and then all of a sudden their evenings and weekends are dedicated to this whole other job, which is emotional, stressful, frustrating, annoying, all these things. And they're like, far out. Like, that's the emotion where people come to us. Typically, that's where the phone call comes, and then it's like, okay, I've had enough. I'm sick of it. Hey, listen, I've been listening from afar with the podcast, and now I just want you to go do that. Thank you. Great. Cheers.
It is, and we work crazy hours, and my wife's probably not happy about that, but you know, we'll talk to clients at 10, 11 p.m. at night, whenever the deal's getting done.
Whoa, don't get any ideas.
Hold on, mate. Sorry, 5 p.m. now. It's when things have to happen. A lot of stuff does end up happening after hours if you are negotiating, especially if you're trying to get a client ahead of the game. Even sometimes before the first open, for example, and you want to try and lock it in, it happens. Like, again, last week, it happened at up to 11 p.m. on the Friday night to get it done. But again, getting that client ahead, getting them the best possible result, locking a property in that they may not have thought they could probably get, and you get the better result by doing the harder work. And you know, probably will ruin me eventually, but build the team so that you're not necessarily having to do late hours all the time. But again, it's just going above and beyond for clients is probably the main thing. And I think my corporate experience has brought that in as well, because it's all about client service. And I think the real estate's very hit and miss, I think, for that. There's good and bad in every industry, but I think having that background in corporate service, bringing that into this business to, again, go above and beyond for clients, that's probably the biggest thing. And a good buyer's agent does that. Getting the best result for the clients, the focus. So.
Yeah, I love that. Well, okay, speaking of good results, and probably harboring back to, you know, what you were doing previously with the investment side of things, like, personally, what do you look for in a good investment property?
Well, it depends on the client's strategy, right? So, I never say, someone says, all right, where would you buy if you had $1 million? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it depends on the client, depends on their strategy. If it's investment, we're talking a bunch of different factors, but is it a growth strategy? Is it cash flow? Do you need cash flow in your certain circumstance? Do they want to develop it? Does it have to have the right zoning? So there's a bunch of different factors you need to look at. But in general, if you want growth, location does 80% of the heavy lifting for that. So buying the right location, which I suppose at the moment is probably as close to Brisbane as you can possibly get. But we've also seen, not necessarily, we used to say freehold houses is probably the way to go because you can own the land. That's generally the better piece. But we've seen units and townies go crazy in the last 12 to 18 months and they're outpacing freehold houses in terms of growth. So it really depends on the client situation, depends on budgets.
Definitely. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people, it is juggling all those balls, right? Like, because all of a sudden it's like, cool, I'm in a position in my life where I want to look at an investment property. Yeah. I've got X amount of money, but, that in a freehold house is going to take me, halfway to the Sunshine Coast and not in a good way. Yep. Would I consider a townhouse, which, you're right, like in a good location has outpaced, house growth for the last 18 months. And the cash flow in the immediate, short term is going to outweigh, anything that I'm going to get freehold just because it's a better location. People pay better rents. It's more modern. Plenty of stuff to sort of, weigh up, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the piece of, again, bringing back to strategy. So whether you work with someone like us or not, just sit down and actually nail out what your strategy is. Do you want to get growth? Do you need cash flow? Where do you think are good locations? Do your background research to see where you think is going to be not necessarily the next boom spot, but just have good, consistent growth. Because I think you get big booms and busts in areas. If you could try and pick the market where you're going to get these massive booms, you don't really always win, and generally you rarely win. So just good fundamentals behind the areas. And I talk to clients a lot, and they'll come in and they'll say, well, what's the right location? I said, we'll sit down and give you all these options, and we'll say, Toowoomba is maybe a good option. It's a regional market, but it's seeing the same growth as what Brisbane has over the last 10 years. If you look at the averages, right? You can get a freehold house up there that's 600 square meters with a pretty much almost brand new build, 4-bed, 2-bath, low set brick that is a better product than probably what you buy in Brisbane. So there's all the economic fundamentals up there as well, hospitals, airports, things like that. So you look at all that and you go, well, and sometimes they change their mind and go, actually, that's actually a really good idea. That actually fits better for our strategy and our long-term goals. So it's just understanding the client, and any buyer needs to understand what they want to achieve.
And where does your role start and stop? Like, are you actually pointing people in the direction of potentially being like, hey, based on how you've answered your onboarding questions, almost like let's consider regional. Is that where you're did you include that your 2 cents in that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we always say we have no idea what's going to happen. No one has a crystal ball. So, we never guarantee where it's going to go, but this is what has happened. These are the different options, and we never say just do this. We'll give them the options, and then they can decide what they want to do. But sometimes they have no idea. So clients coming in for investment say, I've been told to invest in property. What do I do?
What's your strategy? Get rich. It's like, oh, great. No
so
pressure.
I want 10 properties in the next 5 years. Okay, cool. So you just need to sit down and really work it back. And then, sometimes it is about directing them down different paths that they go, oh, well, we just want to buy this in this area. It's like, well, that may not be the best choice because you want this over here. That doesn't fit the strategy, right? So we do give them options and guide around that. But, we'll never go, this is what you definitely should buy.
Other than Toowoomba, are there any pockets in Brisbane or Moreton Bay or Logan that you think are undervalued at the moment?
I mean, in and around Brisbane, there's, again, it's just, my feeling is just get as close to Brisbane as you possibly can for your budget.
Everything's undervalued today compared to what it's going to be in a month.
I think so, exactly. Things probably moving around, percent a month or something at the moment. So, it's really about getting in the market. But, Strathmore, Bray Park, that kind of Launton pocket is probably still a little bit undervalued and seeing that growth. But again, it just depends on the product. Again, it depends on, the strategy, I suppose, for the client. So if they're saying growth, and they're happy to look at not a freehold house, then I'd be probably putting them in somewhere around like Carina, for example, on the south.
Awesome.
Just because that's seeing really strong growth. And I think that pocket from Tingalpa to Bayside as well is and has been undervalued for a while, and it has, again, seeing good growth. That's probably not a bad option. They just need to improve the transport.
Exactly right. Yeah, the infrastructure needs to be a bit improved.
Yeah.
I know that we don't have a crystal ball, but given supply and interest rates that are continuing to sort of drop at the moment, how do you see things in the market, price wise, for the next sort of, let's call it 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, again, no one has a crystal ball, right? But if we're talking Brisbane specifically, or Southeast Queensland, I think there will be consistent growth. Again, we're seeing probably a percent a month at the moment. I think that will continue. Looking at some of the data, it's like 5 to 10% for houses, maybe 10 to 15% for units and townies, something like that. So I think that will just continue on. If we get another rate cut, that'll maybe also just push that a bit further. And October, I don't think it's going to be a massive spike due to the first home buyer changes that have been pulled forward, but I think that'll just push the market further. The perception of more buyers in market, the scarcity of property, that will just, again, keep pushing it consistently through the next probably 6 to 12 months.
So I think buyers probably need to slow down, get their strategy in place, understand what it is they want to achieve out of this next property, understand their numbers, what are they looking for, and then really, how do we go about trying to move quickly and confidently when the first 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 appears and be like, let's move. Because if you continue to look for perfect, all of a sudden you're 6 months down the track, it's completely left you behind and you're wondering what happened.
Yeah, and the clients say, should we save a bit more first? Or with what's happening in the market, you probably end up getting further priced out and you can't save enough to keep pace with that. So you're actually not getting ahead. It's really about getting in the market. And as you said, finding that 7, 8, 9 out of 10, maybe the unicorn 10 out of 10, but very rare, and just get in. Because it's not, in most cases, it's not your long-term forever home. It's just getting in the market. And then you can leverage that to take the next step down the track. Yes, because most people, they're changing their house every 5 years or so. So just get in the market and leverage that, and then you can move from there.
Nice. All right, one final piece of advice for buyers who are on their property journey right now, other than pay yesterday's price.
Yeah. I think it's just be proactive. Like, be in market, build relationships with the agents. So where you're looking, so if it's owner occupied, for example, say you're looking in a south side forever. I've got a mate who lives on the north side, and
you're trying to convince him to be a south side forever.
He'll never. He's trying to get me to go north side. But if you say you're on the south side, you want to build those agent relationships up on the inner south, and so be proactive with that. Communicate a lot. Be the squeaky wheel, because then you'll potentially get more access to opportunities. And then, so it's persistence, right? So sometimes being a little bit annoying and actually just being in there consistently will get you a deal done as well. Sometimes that is just get you ahead of the game. Like, an example of that was one of the properties we just looked at that said, no, we're going to take it to the next open on Thursday and then Saturday. But just being persistent and getting the right deal in front of them ended up getting across the line before.
They heard from me Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday morning.
Three times a day.
Thursday at 3:30. Hey, and again, like, it's not easy. We know it. Like, that's why we have jobs, is because it isn't easy. And I think for people that want to go about doing it on their own, it's better to go hard and do it with every ounce of spare time and energy that you have for 8 weeks, as opposed to half-assing it for 8 months and then looking back and regretting the one that would have got away, months beforehand. So it is work. There are strategies in which you can go out and get a result. And one of those strategies might just be calling Jono Betros or me.
Okay.
That's Jono. I'm Chayse. Cue the song.